third time recording this video. If there's anything I am, it's freaking resilient. Ugh. Welcome to the Lesser Heard Voice. I'm your host, Darren Esparza. This is the third time I tried to record this video. 16 minutes into the first one and my phone glitches out. 8 minutes into the second one, phone glitches out. I'm recording it with my actual phone recorder this time and not the YouTube app. So if my phone glitches out, hopefully I can still release this video. May take a break about halfway through, because this is getting quite annoying. So, like I said, welcome to the Lesser Heard Voice. My name is Darren Esparza, your host. Oh, I don't want to record it again. This is going to be the third time I tell you a bit about me and who I am and where I'm from. I'm from a little city called Porter, Texas, down near Houston. It's a little bit of a country city. I never really thought of the country, but you know, thinking about it, I drove my lawnmower to the gas station every day to pick up cigarettes, so I guess it is kind of country. Ugh, third time through. So, where I first began my pursuit for the mind stuff was in an early college high school. If y'all have never heard about that, it's where you give up on all extracurricular activities like band, choir, athletics, theater, all of that stuff, and just pursuits of academia. Excuse me. Ooh. Don't remember eating that. That was a bad joke. But when you give up all those stuff in pursuit of academics, you graduate high school with a 2-year college education, absolutely free of charge. And I was actually really loving it a lot. We were the first generation of students there, so there was 50 of us. It's not a lot of kids. And since we were first generation, we got to decide the name of the school, the color of the school, the mascot, literally anything you can think of, we decided it. We made all the clubs. We decided, yeah, that's about it. So, oh, this is gonna be the death of me. Oh. So the cool thing about that school, though, is that since it was intellectually driven, we were really big on discussions and conversations. And if you remember me talking about in my last video, I'm big on conversations. And that's sort of where I found my love for the opposite point of view of mine. That's really where I found my infatuation, my kind of longing to find someone who has a completely different point of view than what I share. That's where I started talking to more people, debating more, trying to figure out whether what I believe is actually what I believe and not just the belief of my parents. And that's really what got me to looking more into my own personal views. And I absolutely loved it. Granted, though, I was horrible at schooling. Sorry, let me try and straighten the camera a bit. Like I said, I'm using my phone right now. I don't have any kind of camera or anything like that. So until then, you're going to have to deal with an elongated view. You know, like the two little lines right about here. And just deal with the blocks on the sides of the screen right there. I will be getting a camera very soon so I can be recording these correctly. But until then, this is what you got. So, back on what I was talking about, though. Back at the early college high school, we called it Infinity, and I really debate it all the time. I loved it. That's where I figured out what I believe is what I believe. I actually looked into whether or not Christianity was true, and I debated it with some of the people who were a million times smarter than me. But because of that, now I'm able to hold my own in any kind of debate, any kind of standing, or anything like that. And after that, after about a year of early college high school, I completely flunked out. I did horrible at early college high school because I never did my work. I was a lazy kid. And after that first year, I moved up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which was 15 minutes from the Canadian border, or 45 minutes, or something like that. We were right next to Canada. And it was cold. It was cold. It was the coldest I have ever been in my entire life. I was freezing, and I've been homeless, and that was colder than that. So living up in Coeur d'Alene, though, where I had no friends, I didn't know anyone, that's sort of where I found out who I was. The kind of people who I kind of hang out with, the kind of people who I attract, the kind of people who I like to talk to, and the things like that. And it kind of helped me grow a bit more into the kind of man that you see today. Granted, I'm still growing. I'm still figuring out who I am. I still don't know who I am, but I'm going to be figuring it out. All right? So just stick in tune for the next couple, who knows how long I'll be doing this, and you'll see a completely different Darren. But aside from that, that's enough of getting off track. I'm going to get off track a million more times during this episode, and I do apologize for that. But stay tuned, and you'll hear a lot of random-ass conversations. So, I absolutely loved it up in Idaho, though. I had some really good friends. That's where I sort of had my taste of popularity, whatever the hell you want to call it. So after about 3 months of that, I ended up moving back down to back here to Texas and moved in with my mom. And that's where I started going to a school called LD Bell. I was living in the DFW area, going to LD Bell, and I was having an absolute blast. I really, really discovered, like, the kind of person I wanted to be, the people I hung out with, but that wasn't the right thing to do. I found the wrong kind of people, just like a lot of us do whenever we're in school. After about a year of going to Bell, I ended up falling into drugs. A lot of drugs. Started off with weed, and then it grew into even more stuff. I ended up moving in with my grandparents because things were getting so bad. And I just got worse. I started popping Xannies and all sorts of pills and doing all sorts of horrible things. And that's where I met this girl who was absolutely horrible for me. Me and her ended up getting together. When I graduated from high school, I actually ended up moving back up here just to be with her. Got kicked out of my house to do that too. Fun stuff. And things were horrible. We were homeless. Didn't have anywhere to rest our heads. Ended up couch surfing, sleeping on the streets. Getting more and more into this horrible little destructive vortex I found myself in. And after about 2 years of being with her, we ended up having a little boy together who was the best little baby in the entire world. The cutest little bundle of joy. I absolutely love him to death. But because of my actions, because of all the drugs I did and the things that it led me to do, I'm not able to see him as much. And it sucks. It really does. But that's the bet I've been given. And now, here I am, about 6 months later, after me and her broke up and we went our separate ways. Everything's starting to look up a bit. I've turned my back on drugs. I don't do drugs no more. I'm 6 months clean. Hallelujah. And I found a new meaning to life. I don't know if y'all heard that, but it sounded like a cat that was, I don't even know how to describe it. But I found a kind of a new meaning to life, and it's getting more into, and sort of like discovering who I am, the kind of person I want to be. It's growing. I guess that's my meaning to life, is growing. I have an amazing place to live, amazing house with an amazing roommate. I got a phenomenal job. I work over at the Northeast Mall. I sell shoe cleaner, and that sounds kind of lame, but it's actually a hell of a lot of fun. I make a crap ton of money doing it. I have an amazing boss, and I'm actually the unofficial assistant manager there, and it's the greatest thing in the world. I figured out I have a knack for sales, and sales is such a fun and fulfilling job to have. It's so much fun. It's such a I don't know how to describe it. Sorry, I thought I saw something moving. This house haunted. And now where I am in life, I'm able to think more and figure out more about who I am, the things I want to do. And it's now giving me a chance to do this right here, this podcast. I have one episode out on this podcast. You can find it on SoundCloud. Just look up The Lesser Heard Voice. But I'm having the most fun in the entire world doing this. I finally get a chance to do what my heart's been wanting to do, and that's just record. Talk to my viewers out there. Tell them about what's up, and talk to them about the things that are really weighing on my heart. I already went on a rant about it last episode, but I want to talk about it a bit more because it's really important. I can't stress how important this is in just one video. All right? I figured out through all this time of just sitting here and thinking, especially through this quarantine, how important unity is. How, when you look at the way we are now, we're dividing ourselves, especially over in politics, when we shouldn't be doing that, because that's just going to tear each other down. That's just going to hurt us. But when you end up doing that, like I talked about in the last video, kingdom divided amongst itself will fall. And that is what we are. We are an amazing kingdom that, there goes my glasses, that is falling. We're going downhill. And I'm not talking about politically. I'm talking about in general. People don't know what restroom to use, for crying out loud. We're too scared to be ourselves out there. We're too worried to be who we want to be because the big masses out there are going on this crusade of safe spaces and all this, like trying not to offend anyone. Who cares if you offend anyone? Like I talked about last time, we are resilient people. This quarantine is only going to succeed in making us stronger. Whenever hard times come, I don't know if I've heard that saying. When tough times come, when tough comes or rough comes running, the rough get running, or whatever that saying is. That's what we're seeing right now. People are too scared to unite. The people who are crying their eyes out, who are going and buying 50 damn packages of toilet paper. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. But you start seeing what we have, who we are as a nation in crisis like this. And what we're seeing right now ain't exactly good. What we're seeing right now isn't the best thing in the entire world. And I'm hoping that this podcast can start to put an end to that. I'm hoping that when people see the conversations that I will be having here in a little bit, here soon, hopefully, I can start having conversations. I'm hoping people, when they start seeing it, will start to be encouraged to go have these conversations in their lives. Will start to be encouraged to go and not be scared of what the masses will think of them. Because we can't be scared of that. We can't. When we start letting the word police get in our heads, when we start letting these social policemen or these social rioters or whoever the hell is out there causing this kind of panic, when we start letting them get in our heads, we are no better than them. But we are better than that. We are stronger. We are Americans, for crying out loud. We kicked the butt of the strongest nation in the entire world when we first got started. We take all these crises and we win. We haven't lost a single war. And if you're talking about the Vietnam War being the thing that we lost, I don't even count that as our war. And we are actually winning, but let's not get into that whole thing right now. That's a big debate for another time, all right? This whole thing about who we are, we're losing it. We used to be a nation that stood tall and we stood in the middle of the storm and we took it for the rest of the world. But right now we are becoming pansies. We are becoming scared. We are starting to get scared of what these other countries are thinking about us. We are starting to get scared of what other people are thinking about us. But we need to stand firm because freedom is a nuanced issue. Freedom is weird. The whole world doesn't understand how we get of a country built on freedom, built on how we can do our own thing and still stand strong. The rest of the world does not get that, and they won't get that. That's why they hate us so much, because we are free. We take our own responsibilities. We make our own decisions. We don't care what the rest of the world has to say, but now we're starting to get scared. Now we are starting to become like the rest of the world, and we are not like the rest of the world. The rest of the world forces you to think one way, but we say another. That is what America was built on. I know I went over this in the last video, but this is something that means so near and dear to my heart. And it's sad to me how there's so many people out there who are so scared, who are so worried about what the rest of the people think about them. And it breaks my heart when I hear people who are too scared to make a joke because they're scared that someone else is going to get offended. When I meet people who are too scared to express their opinions. And I'm not talking about going out there and picking fights. I'm talking about standing up for you believe in. People who just agree because they don't want to lose their friends. That's what breaks my heart more than anything. We can't be scared to lose our friends like that. Because if they leave you because of what your views are on a president, what your views are on a social issue, on a personal issue, whatever, then they're no good friend of yours. Like smoker's cough. Urgh. Then they were no good friend in the first place. You need to find friends who like you for who you are. Who don't care what your views are. I'm getting into things saying that my video is about to end soon. So I guess this is as good a time as any to wrap this video up. All right, y'all. Again, thank you for listening to the Lesser Heard Voice. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like and subscribe to my channel, it would really mean a lot. Until next time, though, have a good one. And stay true to America, y'all.